turned my shop upside down. I've got junk everywhere because I'm trying to install this air cooling loop. And I'm going to install it next to my compressor in this corner. You see, I've even taped up a little template just to make sure my idea will work. Air cooling loop is one of those projects that just keeps on giving. I've had all the pieces for a while, and I bought a kit from, I think it's RapidAir Fastpipe, because I looked at copper pipe, I looked at steel pipe, I looked at all alternatives of things I could do myself and piece together, and all of them came out being just about as much as a kit from RapidAir Fastpipe. And it is aluminum, so iron, it's going to get rusty, you're going to get rust in your lines. Copper, you're going to get green crud. Aluminum, the way it oxidizes, it gets like kind of a clear or white, and doesn't really come out into any of your things. And you want, why do I have an air cooling loop? Why do I think I need one? Well, on another project, I've got a car, I wanted to paint the bumpers. I've always wanted to do automotive painting, never had the setup or the facilities or anything, and I technically still don't have the setup or facilities. The important part of getting a setup for automotive paint is making sure your compressed air is dry. Right out of the compressor, it's warm, it's got a lot of moisture in it, and this loop, which is about, you get 30 feet of pipes. I'm trying to make it as close to 30 feet as possible and fit within the confines of what I have, or the space that I have. It allows the air to cool, and when it cools, all that moisture in it, it drops out. So you've got a bunch of water traps to let the water out, so that when the air gets to your paint gun, it's dry. Because if you know anything about paint, moisture and paint do not mix well. So you want your air dry. I'm also incorporating a filter, a drying filter, just to, if there's anything else left, I'm catching it. Also, just with tools, with your pneumatic tools, water and tools don't mix. So this is going to be beneficial for a number of reasons. That's why I got it. Kind of pricey. I mean, it's a few $100, and I don't usually shell out for that, but these bumpers are my step one of getting automotive paint. I'd like to do more. I'd like to paint a whole car. Don't really have a space for that. You know, right now I'm thinking I may have to wrap my carport in plastic and make it a temporary paint booth. So I need this whole cooling loop to be portable. So I've got a lot of restrictions going on here, and I think I've got it figured out. I think we're to the point where I'm going to start cutting and making. So what I'm going to do, see, I've got a bunch of sketches here. I'm going to create a wooden frame to where the top of the pipe and the bottom of the pipe, they have a bunch of little hangers. These will screw to the wood frame, the pipe clips in, and that way it all kind of connects together, holds together. I can pick up this wooden frame and carry this thing around if I need to. I'm hoping I don't have to do that much, but right now I don't have a paint booth, and it might be my carport. And my compressor stays in my shop, because most of the time when I'm using air tools, I'm in my shop, not working on painting cars. So it needs to do double duty. Now in my shop, the space I have it in, my shop ceiling is 7'4", so I got a height restriction. In the space I want to put it, I've only got about 4'8", 4'4" wide, so it's got to fit in there. So I've been sketching in SketchUp. I've got one of the old SketchUp versions that don't require you to be online because that's annoying. And I've been figuring out how to piece together, because I've got the kit. The kit, you know, I looked at, is it any cheaper to try to piece together yourself? It's not. Like, getting the kit is the easiest way. I think I will need one more elbow, like this, because the way I need to do this, the whip hose that goes from my compressor to this air cooling loop, well, I need that pretty close to the compressor. And since the wall is going to expand out of the wall, well, I've got to have something in front of there because my shop is tight as is, full as is. So I need the entrance of the air from my compressor to this cooling loop and the out, I need them very close. And so with the kit, here's some instructions. You have the air coming in here, it loops up and down, all that air cools, you got water traps on the bottom, and it exits here. Well, that's not going to work. Like, if I have mine exiting on this side, it's going to be behind stuff. So I need exiting out here. So let's see, it comes up here and then loops back around to the front. So I have my manifold where I need it. I've got a bunch of wood to make a frame for it, using 3/4 plywood because I've got it, a bunch of scrap. And I thought about trying to do something fancier, but I don't, like, I've spent a bunch on the cooling loop already. I don't want to spend any more on it. So here's the process. The first thing I did, I got 30 feet of pipe, so I know how much I'm working with when I start sketching this out. Made notes of 1.5 inches added for each elbow. These are your elbows. The pipe goes in about 2 inches. You can see the lines here. I actually like how this is done. You can see the line of where the pipe stops. And it adds about 1.5 inches each direction. I want the traps about 11 inches off the floor. Here are the traps, because I need them off the floor so that I can put a bucket or something under, or a cup or something. I potentially have the water going on the floor. I don't really want to do that. I've got 3 traps, so I've got a lot of traps. So I'm thinking just like a plastic cup, something like that underneath each one to catch water. If I empty it often, I don't think I really need that. So now I measured, so I told you 7'4" to the ceiling, it's actually 7'3", 4'8" width. And so I need it blocked out for the wall because I'm going to have stuff in front of it. So I don't want anything to roll into these pipes and hit it. So I'm going to have a frame that this mounts to then I'm going to have just some bumpers across the front so nothing can hit it. There's some plywood there to protect it. So from there, I did my SketchUp model, and then I made some dimensions. This is what my frame's going to look like. So it's going to loop up, come back down, go back around, come back down, loop up, go all the way up, and come back to here. Here's right around here, manifold here, and my compressor's going to be here in front of it. So that's why I need the bumpers, and then I'll have my vacuum forming station, which is right there, also in front of it. So my air comes in here. And you got a water trap here. You want a water trap lowest points so the water gets out. Pipe will connect to this loop. This is a little different. This is the instructions they give you. Another elbow, another water trap. Pipe, elbow, pipe, elbow, pipe, or elbow, pipe. Then another water trap. And this is going to connect to my motor guard filter. Seems to be the best. That's why I like it. And the filter is going to connect to this manifold where I'm going to do 2 quick disconnects. It's got the plugs in each end. It's got another water trap in the manifold because, hey, you can never have too many water traps. This filter, it's a little bit deeper. Like if I have the plug behind it, it doesn't fit. Like it doesn't fit. You get an idea here? Like if you have the plug behind it, everything doesn't line up. So what I'm going to do, since I want removal, the cleats actually help. If I put a space here, and put the cleats behind it, that is 1.5 inches where it keeps the filter off the wall, which is just enough space to get the filter in there. And it's been a journey trying to figure all this out, figure out how it's all going to fit. I've been going through my scrap plywood to find some plywood that works. I don't really have to buy plywood. It's kind of pricey. But these are all the pieces. So that's where I'm at. It's been a lot of just figuring out, all right, this is my space. How do I fit it in here? How do I try to use as close to 30 feet of pipe as I can? And I need both the inlet and outlet to be roughly in the same area. And now I've got this filter. How do I space the filter off the wall? And I realized, I'm just going to do the French cleats. They look like this, where you have, basically this will be what's mounted to the wall. This will be mounted to the back of the frame, and it hooks in, and it just hangs there. And I'll probably just maybe do one at the top, one in the middle, just to spread some of that load. And then once I kind of figure, all right, this is a design that uses 30 feet of pipe. Does it work on the wall? Does it fit my space? It does. And also, I need the bumpers so that I can't push anything into or damage my pipe. So if I damage my pipe, well, that's a problem. Originally, I was going to do 6-inch width on the boards. I thought, well, yeah, that's a lot of wasted material. Let me cut down to 4. And then I found some scrap. If I do 3 3/4 inches wide, I can get 3 pieces out of it instead of just 2. So I try and get my template is falling off the wall. So that way I can get 3 pieces of it instead of just 2. I'm always trying to maximize. I'm gonna get the table saw, rip all these things to width, and then start ripping the length. I will need to notch out because I'm gonna do a half lap on these things just to hold it together, well. And I'm gonna do a little bit of finishing. I'm probably gonna use a router around the outside edges of the wood just to round it over, a little smooth, a little more detail. And everything I've built in my shop, I've tried to give it a little bit of detail to make it look a little bit nicer, not just slapped together, not just rough wood, you know, rounding over the corners, giving things like a little bit of flair. Another project I had sitting on my workbench, this Dremel, this is the oscillating tool, you know, Dremel Multimax, it stopped working. And I was hoping it would be the switch, and I cracked it open, and it is not the switch. Look at that. This is the power wire right off the receptacle. It melted through the circuit board. It was melted to the inside of the housing. Who knows what happened? I mean, I assume it's something messed up with the circuit board because the power is the power, but I was hoping it might be fixable. Maybe it's just a switch, maybe something easy, maybe like something plastic wore out. It's not. These are all of my pieces cut. And then I got the bumpers over there. But since I'm doing a lap joint, half lap joint, I need to cut out half this thickness so that basically this corner laps this corner. It'll look a lot like that. It'll lap like that. It'll be flush because half of the thickness will be cut out of each one. So I need to do that with each board. And so I did a line on the saw just to know my depth, to know where to stop. You know, you could do on a saw and do a bunch of little cuts and then smooth it out. It's a lot of trouble. I'm going to use the router, and I just have a line to know where to stop here, and I'll clear all that out. This is not dramatic reenactment. Look at that joint. Now, you can see there's some gap there, but overall, this is a nice, good joint. Once you glue that and clamp it, not bad at all. I mean, from the front, that's exactly what I see, and plus I'm going to paint it anyway, so paint's going to fill in that gap. So if all my joints are this good, I'm going to be in great shape. So really good, and that's all the corner's going to be. And so right up there, I'm going to have like a centerpiece, and that's why this joint is shorter. It's half the width because it's going to come halfway. Each one will come halfway on the center board. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to clamp all as much as I can, or I'd love to clamp all these corners as much as I can at one time. I'm not sure I have the space for it. I mean, this thing is what, 6 foot, 7 feet tall. Oh, it's more because I think this is each one of these is 2.5, so that's 5. So it's about 6'6" tall. But my first one's good. I know they're not all gonna be perfect. This part has a little bit of bow to it. I'm hoping I can get out of it because I just didn't want to get rid of it. I had the board forever. It's got the bow and I never use it. I'm like, well, for this project, it'd be good for that. Adding waffles. I don't even know where I got all this sawdust. I collected it sometime. I was like, you know what? This will be enough forever. And it's been enough sawdust for a long time. Whenever I need a little bit of filler work, that's what I go to. So if you're doing a bunch of saw and you got a bunch of sawdust, put it in a container. It can be useful as filler. Because, you know, I cut these things a little rough. I could have done a better job. But I knew I had some sawdust. And I know ultimately this is going to be my shop. It doesn't have to be perfect. Cut my center out right here. I did it on the table saw, just pass after pass after pass. And then it was a little bit wide. And this tool has been super handy in, it's very easy to set the depth. And then I'll just kind of run it back, and I'll just run it a couple times until I get that last little hair out. So I was trying to adjust it to get the width right so these things fit together. That tool's been very handy. I really, you know, it's not as clunky as a table saw. It's one-handed, so it's lightweight. It's just easy to try to make these things fit together perfect. Just take a hair of material off. That is the frame. So my pipes will loop around here, and that little jut out in the end, that's where my filter and manifold will be. The frame is glued together. I'm going to sand the edges, just have a little bit of saw cuts in it. I'd like to smooth that out. Just quick pass with a sander. I've got a chisel. Sharp chisel is preferred, just to get little drips of glue that have dried. So that way the sander's going to, you know, get bogged into that glue and get it a little heat, get it a little hot. And gummy chisel, take that glue right off. So I quickly realized that I made my frame a little bit wrong. So I've got this piece on the outside. I intended to have it on the inside because my manifold would bolt right here, and I have clearance for this. I originally was thinking that, you know, my plans, I had this mounted here, you'd have the pipe clamp right there and this hanging down. Well, the thing is, if I'm moving this around, I can't sit it down on my water trap, so I was thinking I need to move them up to here. Well, if I move up to here, what are my pipes mounted to? And I'm shortening all my pipe all over again. And I built this thing for them to extend down. I think we can make it work. A little bit of adjustment. Yeah, that's my thing. I'll make these plans. I'm like, oh yeah, I know what my plan looks like. I don't need to look at it. And then I run into these. This is my setup so far. I've done a lot of math, a lot of adding to make sure that the setup I've sketched out can actually be built. Look at all this, adding up the pipe. Because the first thing I ran into is I've allotted more pipe than I have. And the fact is that some of my cutoffs, like my biggest runs, are 5'8", 5'6". Well, I need those cutoffs to be able to account for all my smaller runs. And so I was trying to optimize it to make sure everything worked out. Didn't quite work. I've got a new plan. And really, if this section of the video might be boring for you, that's okay. This is for me. This is my new setup. Because one issue I was having was that I was going to run in here at the bottom for my end. Because this is what the company, this is just their diagram. You can change it, of course. This is what they show. The whip right here running into the bottom right at a water trap. The problem is, if I run my whip in at the bottom, it doesn't quite reach my compressor. So what I did was I raised this up dead level with my compressor, which that's what this is. The whip comes right into this ball valve. And that way the whip, it goes straight from, like this is dead level with my compressor. That way everything fits just barely. I don't have to buy a new whip. Because a 3-foot whip, $48. 5-foot whip, $52. I didn't really have to buy a $52 whip when I already have one. You see? It's right over there, hiding. Yes. So then I've got a ball valve at first downturn. I have an elbow. I do need to buy 2 elbows with this, but it's cheaper than some other stuff. Because before I was going to have to buy a whip, an elbow, some fittings, all kinds of stuff. This simplifies it. An elbow, this elbow goes up. There's inside my very top loop, comes back down. I've got another water trap at that first round. Whenever you have a drop, gravity, use gravity to your advantage. Put a water trap, put a ball valve at the bottom of that. Now the elbow goes back up. This one goes all the way across. And so the reason I wanted my entrance from the compressor and the exit to the manifold close together is my compressor is going to sit right here in all of this. So I want everything close by. The only thing I don't know yet is how the filter is going to work with this. I'm going to have an elbow here. Or I might have water. I might have a water trap here, yes. So this is actually, that's correct. Is that correct? I've gone around this thing so many times, I've confused myself. So I might have to change this fitting. I don't know how far apart these two things will be where I'll have enough space, or I have too much space and I'll need to run some pipe from here to there. In that case, I'll just swap a fitting from one of my elbows, I think. Yes, because this, like in my entrance, the entrance elbow, I'll need this fitting from here. I'll need it under an elbow because the enter's here, so my whip needs to screw into that, which needs to be an elbow. And this will go here. It'll be a pipe, and so I may need a fitting that goes to the pipe, to the threads, onto my filter. That'll work out. I know an elbow is 15 bucks. I think the threaded thing, I can't remember. Is it 15? Is it 20? But I will have what I need. It looks all crazy. I've got all these notes and all these numbers because I just wanted to add up, make sure, like one final time before I start cutting. There's my pipe cutter right there. It is ready to go. Want to make sure everything worked the way I want it to work. Everything would fit. And it does. And this way I'm going to have about 1.5 feet, 2 feet extra, which is great. There's no real way to use it up. And by the end, I may not have that much. I like to have a little bit of leeway. I've got just a pipe cutter. This is what you use to cut aluminum pipe. You don't want to like crank it down too hard. You really like snug that aluminum pipe in these two rollers to make sure you have it straight and square. And then you tighten the blade to it. Do 2 rotations. You rotate this around your pipe. Tighten it a quarter turn, 2 more rotations. That's how it works. Cut your pipe. Once your pipe is cut, this is a deburring tool for the, let's see, that deburrs the outside, the inside, so the pipe is smooth and nothing catches. And these pipes, they should embed 2 inches. You can see that line? That's how far you should go. Good rule of thumb, good kind of trick, is to just mark on the end of your pipe. Just mark 2 inches up. That way you know that's how far it should embed. Because if it doesn't fully embed, we may not get good seal. Doesn't get good seal. You got air leakage. You don't want that. You can see that's what the pipes look like inside. And it embeds 2 inches everywhere. It's a very modular system. Everything kind of mixes and matches, like these ends, these caps, everything swaps. I mean, if you wanted to get a tee that had 3 caps all on each end. I really like the system. Again, I went through all this trying to figure out what I wanted, what would be best. And it is this. And this is RapidAir's Fastpipe system. It's an air cooling loop. Things do have a line that show you where 2 inches is. I'm going to mark my pipe 2 inches just so I know that I'm fully seated. And then, so you want to make sure these things are somewhat loose, not all the way loose, but somewhat loose. Fully seated, tighten it by hand, and then once it's tightened by hand, you use the spanner wrench to, whatever end you want to fully tighten it. Once that's done, that joint, that connection is good. They do recommend putting a mounting bracket at within 6 inches of every joint, and don't let the pipe span more than 10 feet. Now, none of my runs are 10 feet long. All of my, like the pipe I have, it comes 7 foot 6 inches long. And the longest run I have is 5'8", and I'm going to have just a mounting bracket at the top and bottom mounting to my wood frame. One note about these brackets that I did not know. You need to put a nut in them. They recommend a 5/16 inch nut. I don't have any, but I have a bunch of 1/4 inch nuts, and guess what? 16th of an inch is not a lot. And basically, to seat it in there, there's a opening in there, just so when you screw it, when you put a screw in there, you're not going to stress the plastic. That nut provides some relief. They recommend a soap and water, the instructions say heavily diluted soap and water. And so I did like 1 drop of dish soap, fill the rest of this water. And that's just so as you insert the pipe, it's got a little bit of lubrication to slide in a little bit better so it fully seats. I've not actually tried it without the lubrication, but people I've talked to have said it is much easier if you lubricate it. So I'm going to make it easy myself and do that. So I've set the pipe on the cutter. I've tightened this down just where it's kind of snug. And now we're just going to roll around twice. You can already see it making the cut, and you can feel it getting easier to spin. So let's tighten it a little bit more. Not a lot, just a little bit. The problem with if you over tighten it, you could crush the pipe or bend the pipe. We don't want to do that. Alright. I know really a lot of it, I say like a 1/4 turn to tighten it. I mean, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it get a little difficult to turn, and you're going to know, alright, that's good. But I'm not doing this. I'm not on a production line. I don't really care about how long this takes me. You can see it, it is cutting through the pipe. Is this a bit of a process? Yes, it is. If I was doing this as a full-time job, getting paid to do this, I'd have tools to make this quicker, because this is taking more time than I'd want if I'm getting paid for the hour, for the job. These pipe are so light. I think it's swinging all over the place because it's very light. Oh, we're getting close, I think. Oh yeah, I felt it. There we go. And it's a fairly clean cut. Of course, we have the deburring tool. Let's see, let's go inside. I think just, that cut leaves a little bit of, not shrapnel, little edge. So we just want to clean that up. Inside, is it clean? You can feel it, if it's clean or not. Alright, we've got the pipe. I'm going to go ahead and mark my 2 inches off the end so I know how far to embed. Alright, we'll spray it into this pipe. Get away from everything I have. I don't need much. Loosen that. Oh, look at that. I can tell that is a nice embed. You can feel it snap all the way down. My mark, I can just barely see it. So hand tighten it. I did look on the instruction to see like how tight is this supposed to be. They say tighten it by hand and then continue it with this spanner. I'm just going to assume that that is pretty darn tight. I mean, I don't know. Like, do I try to wrench it? Do I try to... I think that's good. I mean, if it's not, I need to come back and try to tighten it up. I think it'll be fine. So we've got our first connection right here, done. I don't think you need to see me do every connection. It's all just like this. And one more thing, if you're looking for any kind of tip, now I do want my elbows parallel flush to the wood board. What I'm doing, I'm just sitting it on the board, and you can use that to see, does it rock? Okay, well then twist them so they don't rock, and they're smooth and flat and right. And that way, everything's flush. You don't want all your things at a different angle, like kicking all over the place. You don't want that. I'm always gonna worry about messing them up. So now my concern is, making sure as I'm putting these angles in here, like getting it right. Because if I do my water trap on the wrong side or pointing the wrong way, it's just pain in the butt. And I don't know if you could loosen these things and spin it or not, but I want to be very careful to put everything in the right orientation. Here's where we are. I've got 2 pipes, and so this loop is going to come down, water trap at the bottom, connect to this one. So I may go ahead and cut my smaller pieces now, just so I can do this whole thing and not mix myself up, because I'm very concerned about mixing myself up. So this is a really big nut. I don't have a wrench or adjustable wrench that's big enough. I was thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to tighten this down? Well, if you're in a bind, just use a clamp. I use a clamp to tighten it down, get it right. I did all these ball valves, use some Teflon tape to thread them in there, get those in there. And you want to wrap the tape with the threads, because if you wrap them against the threads, when you put it in, it just tears it off. So I've got this one ready to go. And I want to make sure that the handle of the ball valve is in line with the T and everything else, because again, like if this handle's off to the side, it's not going to work. I want it off to the front. So I've got it lined up. Now I just got to put it on the end of the pipe, and I might cut a short one so we can create one loop. This is fun. I like this, and it goes together quite quickly. I mean, as a kid, you put Lego sets and erector sets and all, and Lincoln logs and all these things. Like this is kind of that same type thing for adults. I want to create an airline loop around my entire shop because I want more of this. This is a lot of fun. I want to get all these blue fittings and go to town. All right, this is where we stand at this moment. As far as I know, I have not made any mistakes. It is mostly complete, so I knew I needed 2 more elbows. I need an elbow for that corner. I need an elbow down for this corner. And I was thinking originally that these should line up, the filter and this union or fitting. They will. I was thinking originally I was gonna get another end here that'd be a pipe from here and then just the threaded end to the filter. But these things are so close that I really think I just need another 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch union, and that they will literally be that close where I can just plug them in. I'll just use that iron coupler because they're that close. Now, it'd be awesome if I could move that filter to where it's directly here. I don't quite have that much space. The end converts a pipe to a threaded end to fit in there, that is 20 some odd dollars. So I can save completely on that. That union, if I need it, is $5. If I can get these close enough to where I don't even need that union, and I can use the union I already have, I'm not spending anything. I do need some fittings for this. This will be a quick connect to my compressor. I want this thing to where I can unhook it or remove it and move my compressor if necessary. This thing is not easily movable. I will put some French cleats on the back so this thing will hang on the wall. And so it enters here, it loops down. I'll have my corner there. It's going to come back up. It'll loop back around, come back down. And so you've got water traps. You know, that gravity works. Where the air is coming down, you've got a water trap there. And comes back up, goes, loops across the top, comes back down. Another water trap where it's coming back down. Got to utilize gravity. And then I'll go into my filter. And then I will have I have that manifold where I've got 2 quick connects, or I will. That's something else I need to get. And I've got my system. Because basically I got 2 quick connects off my compressor as is. I only use one of them. I've never used 2, but I just like to have the option of 2. And I basically have the same system. Now I have this dryer to where all the moisture in the compressor area, right, the compressor will dry. Got the water traps to get it out. And I have a better system. But I need a bung. These are, I think, 3/8 or a quarter. And my manifold is a half. So I just need the manifolds there. Wanting everything to be uniform, I almost want 2 quick connects that are the same. Is it worth spending like 15-20 bucks to do that? Not necessarily, but I want what I want. I just need the same 1/2 inch bung down to 1/4 inch fitting. But I'm thinking I may do like a 90-degree angle, because otherwise this hose has to do 180 into my compressor. If I can do an angle, it only has to do a 90. This thing is more or less together. I just need to get my elbows, and I guess I need to paint my frame. But look at that. Didn't take me long. It took me maybe a couple hours to pull this together. Didn't mess anything up, which is always a great thing. I like it. Can't wait to get on the wall, but I need to put the cleats on the back. Need to get my brackets. Need to get my elbows. Need to figure out exactly how I'm going to connect the filter. I think just another union will do it to make things a little easier, because I've got the fitting on the end of that all ready to go. If I were to do a pipe off of it, I'd need to get another fitting to go into my T. I need another fitting that has a threaded end to go into the filter. It's just a lot of money for what? So I think maybe one more union. Maybe I can get it connect with what I've got. That would be ideal. I finally got these plugs in. I needed a 3/8 inch hex head wrench. Do any of my sets have a 3/8? No. My 2 SAE sets stop at 1/4. My metric set goes from 8 to 10. Guess what 3/8 corresponds to in metric? 9. So I didn't have a 9, so I had to buy this. But it works. It's good. I wrote 3/8 on it, so that way I'll always know. Because it didn't have a special holder, a little plastic holder that's going to tell me what the size is. I'm going to keep it with all my other ones, but I need to know what size it is. Otherwise, I'm going to forget. Next, I need to paint the frame. Still waiting on my elbows. They should be coming, I hope, soon. And the good thing is, once I get the frame painted, I can at least install part of this. I'm going to paint this frame white. I found some white paint in my closet. I had to figure out which one. One is for block. Really, I'm just going to open them. Whatever one looks best, I'll use. You know, that means whatever one has less chunks in it. How did I prep this wood frame? Well, I sat it upright and put paper under it. It just doesn't matter. I need to brush off some of this. You know, this is some of my aluminum from cutting pipe. Get a quick dust off, but I'm just going to go down and paint it. I want it white. I just want it to blend in with the walls. If you notice my shop, that shelf, wood, painted white. If I have anything else, I got a shelf in that corner, wood, painted white. Most things I like to paint. I'm not sure I'm going to paint my cleats. They don't matter as much. You're just not going to see them. I just want this frame painted white. One of the kills, there's just more of it. I want to stretch this paint as far as I can. If I ever need to paint my block walls or touch up, well, I want to save that. Had more in the kills. That does not look bad. I like the plastic containers. These Sherwin-Williams metal containers, they rust. They always rust. And there's always like rust and crust inside. This kills is a plastic container. I mean, yeah, it's all plastic. That's very nice. So I'm going to give that a stir for 30 seconds to a minute just to get it all mixed up. Because paint is full of solids and solubles and all kinds of mixtures. And you want to stir it up and get a good, you know, because all like your solids drop to the bottom. You got to give it a good mix. So I'm going to give it a good stir. Probably going to put some blocks under here because this whole thing is touching the paper, which means along that whole run, the paint will stick to the paper and I have to rip it all off. If I just put like a block on each end, it's less to stick. And if you stick a block, the paint's not really going to stick. It'll just pull apart. Where the paper, you'll rip the paper and have little paper shreds all over. Don't really want that. So just a quick note, this brush, I wash it with just dish detergent every time after I use it. I've used it with oil paint, water-based paint, everything, a little bit of detergent, and just scrub it really well and then rinse it out. This thing has worked for a very long time. Like I told you, I don't want to say cheap, but I like to get value. And this, if you use a little bit of detergent after you use it, it's going to work wonders. It's going to clean wonders, and it'll keep going. Because really, like this, I just picked this up. It is not stiff. You know, sometimes you get these brushes. The brushes are all stiff because it wasn't cleaned very well. A little bit of detergent, scrub it really well, rinse it really well. It's going to go for a long time. All right, so that is 2 coats. Probably 1 coat, especially on wood. Wood wants to soak it up a little bit, so you just don't get great coverage. So I did 2 coats. Second coat went a little bit quicker. We're set. One thing I forgot is I wanted to do the bumpers across just to protect the pipes, nothing to back into it. A bumper across the bottom, because I also need standoffs from the floor so that my water traps hang below the frame. You know, just one of those planning things. I haven't even cut those, so I can't make those. And I wanted a bumper across the middle, but I don't quite know where my filter and my flange and everything links up. So I don't know. I'd cut a bunch of these standoffs, and I'd have bumpers going across. So those are my bumpers right there. I might go ahead and paint the bumpers, but the standoffs, I don't even know. If you were curious about how these things work, let's check it out. I don't think I've done that. So you've got this plastic cap, and so you've seen some of these other connections like these. It all kind of fits in the same thing. It's all interchangeable. But basically, you've got this seal. You've got this seal where this cap fits in. In here, you just got this black little cap. There's a seal in there. This cap, this plastic cap. You can see there's metal in there. That's so it doesn't back out. Fit that in there, like so. So when you seat it, you're sitting it in here all the way down to, well, not to that ring. That is what this seal's down to. The metal serrated edge keeps it from backing out. This cap tightens everything down, and somehow it works. I don't know how. I don't know how. I'm just happy that it works, and that's it. I've got the manifold mounted. I've got my first clip mounted, and these clips, they're very easy. There's a hole dead center, and they do recommend put a nut in there before the screw. I guess, you know, you don't want the screw to pull through the plastic, and you know, it's easier for them to not manufacture the nut in there and to make you do it. I'm fine with that. There's a hole right in the middle where you can screw it in. Very easy. And so I'm starting here because I wanted the manifold right here. I mean, I like it centered, but I put it on the edge of the wood. I just think with my layout, that's going to work better. I have just enough clearance behind my filter and the wall because there's going to be a French cleat behind it. So I got an 1.5 inch space that gives it just enough clearance, which works out. As far as the mounting brackets, they recommend putting brackets within 6 inches of any joint, and I think not to span more than 10 feet, I think it is. My whole setup is like 6. So I'm going to have one, I'm putting one at stress points, like right here where my filter is, where everything is, I'm putting there one really close, and with the filter, or the manifold right here, this is solid. Then put one right here at my inlet. So I can't fit them here, obviously, because I have no backing, but I'm going to put a clip here, and then on the way up, put a clip on that loop. And then on my outside loops, I'm just going to put that on the outside perimeter because that actually hits the frame, so that'll be on the outside perimeter, and that'll be it. I will have a bumper going across. I'm thinking I'm going to have 3 blocks because my bumper, that piece of wood right up there, it's got a little bit of bow to it, so it'll be nice to just put it in the middle. And originally I had it coming all the way to the end. That's before I changed this whole setup. Really, I don't need this whole corner, but we're just going to leave it. Maybe the bumper just goes all the way across. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. I want a bumper going across the middle too. I will have to dodge this because this, I think this will be a little bit higher than what's shown, just a hair. But yeah, I might have to just cut the bumper notch out because I just don't want anything to back into any of this stuff. And so I'm trying to make them right on the edge of things, have things line up and look good. I'm gonna have all my clips the same orientation where it snaps, the top comes off this way. I just like everything to be uniform, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start installing these as shown. And I just got a drill bit, 1/8 inch drill bit. These are, I think, number 8 wood screws, 1 inch long. 1 inch long means they won't tear through the back with any of my mounting points. This is the best, easiest, cheapest drill bit depth tool, piece of tape. And then, too, the added benefit is, you know, you get wood shavings when you're in the hole. Well, this sweeps away, so you know when they start sweeping away, you've hit your depth. Now, one thing, I made a little mistake, so I put this right on the edge there. I like it, looks good. Well, then when I was putting this one, I put this one right on the edge down here. Well, the thing is, when you put them vertically, this thing slides up and down. You have movement. When you put them on the top bottom loop, like I've done, which I don't have any other option, just I don't have anything behind here. Well, this one is set. This one will not set. I needed that one at the bottom. I need to lower it down. I just, you know, this thing is not perfect. I measured, you have some variance, and I just mistakenly put it right on the edge, and I should not have. I need to drop it down. I'll measure. It looks like 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 inch. And again, if everything was vertical, you could slide this up and down, it'd be fine. I just don't have that luxury with this setup. And those are my only two, like, horizontal ones. I just didn't even think about it. Because everything else, you need this the vertical ones. I can just slide this in a little bit to get things to fit. So I have to redo that hole. Not the end of the world. The bracket will probably hide the hole anyway. But just something to think about when you're setting this up. Make sure that if you're, it makes sense to run everything vertical. I think on their little instructions, they have everything running vertical. Which makes perfect sense. I just, with how I set this up, I want this to be portable, couldn't do it. Looking at my bumper, the thing I didn't really factor on is that my handles are higher than the bumper. Now, it protects the pipes, does not protect the handles. I mean, you could try to rotate the handles. I'm not sure what I want to. I like them facing the front because you rotate them to the back. I think they probably stick into the wall. My little blocks, I figured 2 inches. You can see that's not quite big enough. I need to go an inch, maybe an inch more. We get close to these handles are almost protected by the bumper, maybe enough. And I don't think it's going to be very difficult to go all the way across there. I mean, this is sticking out. There's no way to really protect that. Do I even need a bumper here? I don't know. I think I'm going to include one. I would just like to. I think it's going to be easy to stay away from this because my compressor will be right there. But for the rest of it on the wall, it'd be nice to have some protection here. It is done. It is all together. It is connected. There are brackets. I've not snapped the covers and all the brackets in place. But there is my air drying loop. Worked out really well. Now, the only thing kind of gets me is maybe I should have brackets here instead of at the joints. But they recommend having brackets within 6 inches of the joint. And so if I had to do it again, would I... Now I don't know if I would try to run this longer. I like that the pipe does not extend taller than my frame. Do I have like another board going across to catch this? It'd just be nice to have everything in the vertical. That way you have a little bit of movement like this. You have still some movement because everything's plastic and there's some flex to it. Even then, not a big deal. But it came out really nice. Everything looks really sharp. I really like this RapidAir aluminum pipe. So this is how I'm doing the bumpers. I'm drilling from the back 3/16 inch of a hole. Because the screw, it doesn't need to thread through the frame. It needs to thread through the bracket. So I'm making a hole that's more than big enough for the screw. So I'm going to screw from the back, and then I will just transfer my marks or guesstimate based on the bracket. Or even I need to. I wonder if I need to drill a pilot hole. Usually should drill a pilot hole because wood likes to split. Yeah, I'm drilling through the grain, so I've got to drill a pilot hole. So I'll drill pilot holes. Did my holes an inch off the top and bottom, and I try to dead center it on the brackets. So it'll all work out because I'll see where the screws come through. It should be in the same spot on the brackets or close enough to where it doesn't matter. And I'll center the bracket on the screw holes. I did 4 on the bottom. I wasn't originally going to go all the way across the bottom, but I thought, if this is portable and I had it sitting, I don't want a leg. Like, I don't want to stop the leg right there and not hit it here. And this thing want to tip if I had it sitting somewhere out in the wilderness. All right, my standoffs for the bumpers are on. Everything went well. I mean, the nice thing about drilling these holes, you've got some room to work with. And so now I just need to run a board across here. I've got that board there. I've got that board there. Now, should I have painted all this stuff before I put it together? Yes, I should have. Do I want to? No. Because really, I shouldn't put these boards across to paint that because it's going to be really hard to get in there. But I'm going to go ahead and just at least drill the holes and get it ready so that when I paint it, I can go back. Is that one crooked? A little crooked. How did that happen? Oh well, it doesn't matter. But it's looking good. It is looking exactly like I want. So now I just need to hang it on the wall right over there. I'm going to use French cleats, and it's going to be easier. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out where to put them. So I have all these French cleats that are already cut to size, so I don't want to recut them. Like that one is near perfect for the top. I'm wondering about putting one on the bottom. I don't know yet. Or not in the bottom, in the middle. I don't know any more than that, but I think 2 would just be nice to have. So I probably will go ahead and do 2. And I've got plenty. These were on another project that I had to take down and scavenge. And so I saved this because I said one day I'll use those French cleats. That day is today. That is great. I will drill a 3/16 inch hole through this board because, again, I'm not drilling through this to thread into it. It doesn't matter. I just need to clamp it to this. So I drilled an 1/8 inch hole in these. Same difference, inch off top each side. Drill right in the middle. That'll be great. And that is where we're going. I'll probably just hold this board up and then kind of mark on it where these holes need to be, just so I can be pretty close to alignment. But it is looking like a thing. Let's see if I can kind of step back far enough. Tilt the camera. Yes, look at that thing. Oh, I love it. So you got the cleats on the back, and so you just want to make sure you hang them in the right orientation. They are meant to hang on the cleats that are on the wall. So I wanted to make sure and double check that I got them hanging the right way. 1-inch screws in the back so that it goes through. Is it 1 1/4? Yeah, 1 1/4 inch screws so it goes through my cleat, but not all the way through the board. So now I'm ready to put the accompanying cleat, which is basically the exact same thing, but an opposite orientation, on the wall. Once that cleat will go on the wall, just like that. Pull through. Of course, I got cinder block wall, so I have to do some inserts in the walls to bolt these to it, and this will just hang right there. So it'll hang top and bottom. I just want to do 2. I mean, is 1 sufficient? Probably, but I like the idea too, so I did 2. You know, think about it. I wonder if I should have done this. If it would have been better to do this one even to the top, just so you have a nice, like, good edge instead of like a floating edge. I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, if I do it again, probably do it at the top. That's okay. So this is the thing about these anchors. They're basically meant to engage about that much. So when I add a 3/4 inch piece of wood, well, all of a sudden, I don't have any engagement. That is not sufficient. I need to screw this basically 3/4 inches longer than that. How long is that? I think that's like 1.5 inches, 1.25 screw. It is, looks like 1 3/4 inches. So I really need a 2.5 inch screw so I can get good engagement. Alright, it is very close to where it will be in position. So I can step far enough back to actually get the view of that. Tight space in the shop. So this is where it'll be. My compressor is going to be right in front of it. I do wish my manifold was a bit higher. You know, I couldn't quite have it. Yeah, I wish I could have it. I wish I had it right there. I wonder if I could cut that pipe. Well, I can't raise it all the way. I mean, I'm limited. I gotta be below there. I could raise it a couple inches. Does a couple inches matter? No. I can just run right into here and come off. I mean, I guess it always come out the top. I can turn right here. It can come over the top of the compressor. And the thing I was concerned about is, will I be able to reach? Will my whip hose reach? And, you know, do I need more 90s? Look at that. It is a perfect fit. Plenty of slack. I thought I might have to back it up a little bit. This is perfect. This whip hose that I had in my compressor, it will be a perfect reach. So everything lines up perfectly. It's about 1 inch shorter than I like it. I like maybe 1 inch, just, and maybe I'll leave it there because I'll need to, maybe I'll leave it here. It needs to be, I want 1 inch higher, but I need enough space to come over the cleat and then come down. So, you know, 2 inches off the ceiling. I was thinking maybe 1 inch, 2 inches is probably fine. I might just put it right there. Got plenty of space on the ground. I got paint buckets. They're 8 inches tall. It gives me, you know, space to kind of figure out where I need everything to be. You know, yeah, I want this a couple inches higher. I'm limited, but easy reach for the filter. Easy reach for that water trap. These water traps, they will be behind equipment. I'll have to get to them eventually. But yeah, everything worked out rather nicely. So now I just need to mark where my cleats need to go. And I know the distance between them. Man, that is bugging me that is off. That's crooked. I might have to go back and fix that because it's annoying me. Can't handle it. Overall, came out really nice. I mean, it's going to blend into the wall. Especially, I got my vacuum former here that will go in front of it, which will block most of all of that. It came out well. I really like it. Now I just need to get it hung, get those cleats in, and we're all set. How about that? And ultimately, what this should do is remove moisture from my system. Because right now, the moisture just comes out of the compressor tank. And honestly, I don't open up that enough. Probably should open it up right now since I'm thinking about it. I opened it up, gosh, probably a year ago. It had a ton of stuff in it because you don't think about it. I don't think about it. But hopefully with this loop and having some easier to reach water traps, maybe like this, you know, you just reach, boom, water out, close it back. Now I do have, you know, I have all these here, and you know, I might see if I can like rig up just a little bucket to hang here just to catch water so it's not going on the floor. And you know, that water should evaporate. And then this is just, you know, if I don't want air going into the loop, I can. So I'll make sure this functions as I want it to. I don't want to, you know, put it up in the wall where I think it's going to go, then put all my equipment back in place and realize I messed something up. So I wanted to put my vacuum former in place because this is where it lives. And so I shift this over slightly so I don't want this arm hitting that pipe. It's not really sharp. I mean, it's got a metal bracket on it, but I don't want it hitting the pipe. So I moved it over slightly. I don't really want it anymore. So I don't want my cords coming down right in front of my manifold. I want the manifold clear. Everything's pretty easy to reach. So I think that is the spot. My bumper, unfortunately, like the bottom bumper will catch a lot of stuff. Since these arms stick out so much farther past the thing, there's really no bumper that's going to stop it. So it's unfortunate, but you can't catch them all. I mean, I guess I could have put my cross brace lower. But yeah, then I'd have to put that lower. That wouldn't have worked. Overall, I'm happy with it. It's just going to kind of hide out in the corner. That works. So I have painted. I've not put the bumpers on because I just painted it. I hooked up my connects. I threaded in my quick connects. I really wish these matched. It bugs me that they don't. It also bugs me this is not higher. It could be like 2 inches higher. It'd be like right there. I'd like that a little bit better. Well, I go back and change it because all I would have to do, I don't know how easily this removes. I could just cut it right here to disconnect it. Move this connection up to about right here. Let's see, would that work? Yeah, I could probably, I need to move it up 2 or 3 inches. Potentially could do that. I mean, I guess worst comes worst, maybe I take it out of the top. Well, yeah, I might could do that. We can say, I guess I could always just hacksaw close to it and then shorten it. I don't know. I could shorten if I need to. I'll see how it goes. But I was thinking about it. I leave this connected. I just have this on a reel. I leave it connected. I don't often connect or disconnect, so it probably is a moot point. Put together now. We're gonna see. We're gonna pressurize the system. We're gonna see what happens. Not a leak. I love that. That is great. Here it is. Here's the system. Let's take a step back. Because once it's done, you will not get to see it this easily because my vacuum form will be in front of it. So there it is. I like it. I do wish the manifold was a little bit higher. But there it is. And it will come right off the wall. All I have to do, disconnect from the compressor, disconnect my reel, and it comes right off the wall, off the cleats. And so, I mean, there's no moisture there, but I guess you could just flip it. That's fun. Might be better to shut this off first, because man, I just blew up a bunch of dust. Maybe I need a bucket or something. I'm gonna have allergies now. This is crazy. Oh, that dust. I did not think about that. Moisture free. Yeah, that's crazy. There's dust everywhere now. It's worked out really well. And hopefully it will reduce moisture out of the system. I did just drain my tank a little bit. There's a little bit of rusty water coming out. Not a ton. Because I haven't been that long since I did it, but I need to do it more often. But hopefully this will also help get some of that moisture out. We're set. So just to recap, here's my setup. Out of the compressor, I did do an elbow, a 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch bung, and that's just a quick connect, Comes to this. So this black whip hose, all of the fittings and piping, that was all from RapidAir. Now I did have to do 2 additional elbows like that because just the way they do it, you know, they don't loop all the way back around and come down here, but I wanted my entrance and exit in the same vicinity. And they give you 1 union that would go right to your manifold. I had to get a 2nd union so I could put it in a filter, the motor guard. This is motor guard M60. From everything I've researched, that is one of the better filters. Lasts longest, reduces moisture, all that good stuff. Holy cow, there's just dust everywhere in here from parts in the lawn. That's fun. Well, that said, it is done. I mean, I looked into copper and iron and all kinds of different pipes. Aluminum was just better in a lot of different ways, and it wasn't that much more expensive. Very soon, this will be completely done, and then I'll push this back into place, and you'll barely even see it. But hey, that's okay. Now, will I check my water traps with this thing in front of it? Probably not all that much. But I've got that water trap right there, the last one, which is, you know, potentially that's where most of your moisture's going to be. I would guess. I don't know. I guess I'll have to check it and see.